Hello folks, it's the start of a new year and specifically it's January the 1st, 2021. Most importantly though, once again, we are live.
You ready?
Yes, Michael, I am. Thanks.
Silent mode.
Yes, hopefully everybody on the live stream is doing all right. It's only been a week since the last live stream and I'm already rusty. But in any case, hope everybody is doing okay. Once again, this is Drew, also known as Silent Mode, and wishing all of my viewers, whether you're on the live stream or listening on the replay, a very happy new year for 2021. I think we can all agree, most of us anyway, that last year was incredibly rough, incredibly difficult. It's been so difficult for me actually that I haven't had time to clean up around here. This is the same layout that I had for the Christmas live stream, albeit with a few extra items on the desk. And yeah, I just figured that I'd have my hands waving around here just so you have something to look at. But in any case, thank you very much for joining me once again. I really appreciate it. I want to begin this live stream by taking some time to acknowledge the passing of some notable figures back in 2020. But what hit me the hardest was finding out that an artist named MF Doom, and I have no idea if you know who that is, they passed away. Some people are saying it happened a couple of months ago and the news was delayed, but I heard about it just before midnight last night. And that hit me really hard. It actually sobered me up quite a bit, because MF Doom was a very influential musician for me. He's a rapper out of, he's known for being American, but he was actually British born. And he worked with another influential artist, Madlib, created one of my favorite albums in Mad Villainy, and he also had a few other albums as well. But just hearing about him passing, it hit me really hard, because this was somebody I listened to when I was developing as a person, and they inspired me in numerous ways. And it's just another person who I really respect, who's being lost for some odd reason. But hopefully he's in a better place now. I think he died of heart failure or some health related issue like that. And it really hits home whenever somebody like this passes on, about how long we have to live, really. Everybody is here for a limited time, and so it's best to make the most of what we have. And that's also why I took a lot of issue with what's been going on in my life with regards to the LEGO hobby. But anyhow, rest in peace MF Doom and all the other people who have been lost in 2020, including those that are closer to your hearts. Some of you may have lost family members or close friends, but the cold hard truth is that the show must go on, and those of us who are still living have a duty to make the most of what we have. So anyway, let's move on from that. Wanted to say, first of all, I really appreciated the response I had to my previous live stream where I detailed why I'm no longer an AFOL, and also especially the Christmas live stream. I didn't expect it to go the way it did, but I really enjoyed that, and hopefully we can have more of those moments. One thing I didn't do in the Christmas live stream, which I really wanted to do, is give a few shout outs. I've made a list of names here, and I particularly wanted to shout people out who have been supportive, especially over the last year. And unlike the vast majority of the LEGO community, they actually found out how I was doing. So first and foremost, two people I would always shout out and I'd never have anything bad to say about them, are Pete and Tim. Pete's the veteran AFOL, and Tim of the new elementary, beg your pardon. Without those two, I wouldn't have experienced any of the good things, as far as I can tell, that I've experienced during the LEGO hobby. I really appreciate them both, and I still consider both of them as good friends. I want to shout out to Camelboy68. I can never remember the number, but he's been very supportive of me as well. I want to shout out to Bob Jerome, who's in the chat right now. He's also been very supportive. And a few other supportive names as well I'm going to drop. we have John Gale, we have Gary Davis, and I want to shout out Kurt, also known as the Flying Dutchman. Watch out for those names. And I also want to shout out Richard Selby of London Affles. He's reached out a couple of times, and regardless of what's been going on, I appreciate him as well. As far as the content of the video goes, me mentioning that I'm no longer an AFL, I did want to make this point, and I'll move on, that I deliberately put that video out, that live stream out, before a Christmas party, and it just so happened that a few people at the Christmas party had seen the video, had listened to what I had to say. And I will say this, that if everything I had said, if everything I suspected was going on was actually a figment of my imagination, then I would have thought that at least one of them would have come forward and said that you've actually got this wrong. This isn't what's happening. Or I can't believe you thought that. That's not the case at all. But just the fact that they said absolutely nothing with regard to some of the things I brought up, and it was actually, from my perspective at least, brought up as a joke, that to me suggests that I have a point about what's been going on, and from that I'm going to leave things as it is. I'm just going to focus on I'm just going to focus on what's ahead, what's in the future. So yeah, I just had to get that off my chest, and we will move swiftly on to the subject of this video. And once again, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. This live stream was on very short notice, and I do appreciate it's going to be me talking for a lot of the time. But bear with me, I will get to the juicy stuff. But the focus of this live stream is my newfound motivation to make this year, 2021, the year of the mode. You may have seen my post on Twitter and perhaps Instagram about it, and I actually talked about last year being the year of the mode. But what exactly does that mean? Well, the year of the mode is essentially about, so I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. The year of the mode is essentially about rekindling my passion for building things out of Lego. I've done a few things over the last few years regarding Lego, such as the silicone molding and resin casting things, and even 3D printing things now. But I actually want to get back into building models, things that would be worthy, for example, to display at an event. Since making the video about why I'm no longer calling myself an AFL, it's the strangest thing. I've had a newfound boost of energy, a newfound motivation to actually build things. And since then, I've had idea after idea after idea of things I wanted to build, and I've already gotten started on building things. There's going to be a few videos in the near future about some models that I've designed and I'm in the process of building. And there's going to be a couple of surprise projects as well, Lego related, of course. The year of the mode is also about growing my presence as a Lego enthusiast, as I'm calling myself. One of the hardest things has been the fact that on one side, I'm rather squeamish about promoting myself, and I'm even nervous about posting anything I've made online, especially in one of these Lego communities. On the other side though, I realise that if I don't promote myself, then nobody else is. And for some strange reason, although I have my suspicions, I don't tend to get a lot of press, unfortunately. Even thinking back to when I was on Eurobricks, it was only a few people who would comment on my creations, especially when it came to the competitions that I entered. So I have to get into the habits of promoting myself, because I should be promoting myself, but also realize that it's going to be a massive challenge. It's something that I have to overcome as a personal hurdle, I suppose. But it's definitely something I'm going to be doing. And I'll mention a little bit more of that later. It's also important to note that the year of the mode, even though it's got my name in it, isn't just about me. It's about inspiring others to be creative as well, if they're not already creative. Because in actually practicing building stuff, building and designing my own models. Hopefully in the process I can inspire other people to design and build their own models. One of the most common things I've heard from people I've talked about LEGO with, who aren't part of the LEGO community, is the idea of designing their own models as opposed to building sets from instructions. And yes, I want to play my part in inspiring people to take that leap of faith into designing their own models, essentially. I've got some notes here. I've made a whole list of notes. Another part about the whole Year of the Mode idea not being just about me is that there's nothing like, going back to the idea of inspiring others, there's nothing like seeing somebody progress from a complete newbie to becoming a well-known figure in the community. There's nothing like seeing somebody rise through the ranks. So you saw them when they were starting out, and now they're big shots. That's something that's actually very rewarding, especially if you've seen them at the very beginning and you see them making progress. Let me just have a look at the comments section here, the chats. Yes, indeed, it's the same principle for applying for a job. I think now more than ever you have to be aggressive about promoting yourself. Some people are very fortunate in that they have other people doing a lot of promotion work for them. But I realize now that it's something that I have to be able to do for myself, and then maybe one day I'll have that team of people who are essentially effective at promoting people who do the same for me. Not to give myself any undue props, but going back to this idea of seeing people rise through the ranks, we have the new elementary, which is doing exceedingly well. They have a network of people providing content. But I remember seeing Tim on the Eurobrick sites. I remember when he was practically new to the whole thing, and from there he built the whole empire of the new elementary up. And yeah, his site is a recognized LEGO fan site, which is awesome. And there's also a guy named Jonas Cram, I think his name is. I first came across him, I think, in Portugal during one of the fan weekends, and he's had a meteoric rise as well, but for good reason. He's a very passionate and very skilled builder. So it's always good to see people, being raised up, rising up the ranks, but for the right reasons, of course. And one last note about this so-called Year of the Mode is that I've already started. With getting to work on these new creations that I'm talking about right now. So just today I was doing some filming about a very popular subject, actually, based on looking at the stats from my previous videos. I think it's about time that I actually made another video on that subject, and this one's going to go into a lot more depth. I think it's not just going to be about me showing off my skills, but I'm going to be showing people what the steps I took to get the results I got actually were even. So there's that one, and then there's as I mentioned, a couple of other projects that are already underway. Probably one of the most embarrassing updates at the moment is that I was convinced, after a lot of apprehension, to go on TikTok of all sites. Yes, it's actually hard for me to admit it, but I do have a TikTok account now, and it's the same username as with all the other social media networks, SilentMode TV on TikTok. I've got a couple of videos up there, but the idea is that I'm going to post a video on TikTok maybe once a day, depending on what content I have. I should be able to post once a day over there, and it seems to be doing quite well. I've had a lot more exposure, I think, than on YouTube, I would say, but time will tell how exactly that will go. Speaking of social media, I'm actually thinking of finally biting the bullets and opening a Facebook page for the SilentMode TV brand. I used to be on Facebook with a personal account. I left it a few years ago because there was just too much drama. But one thing that's frustrated me is that a lot of stuff is actually happening on Facebook, and whether I like it or not, there are a lot of people on there, and it could actually benefit me to have a presence on Facebook, if not just for the SilentMode brand. So I'm considering it, but no promises. What else is on my list? Yes, the website, the SilentMode TV website, is still under construction. I think the main thing is adding the ability to create new posts. That's still not 100% at the moment, and I'm still debating on whether or not to allow comments on posts and things. It's a lot of work, as I probably mentioned before, and it may not even be worth it because unfortunately, regardless of which social media platform, I don't get much comments on my content. Anyway, that's the boring stuff. That's the year of the mode essentially, and unfortunately I didn't have a fancy presentation or anything like that about it, but the TLDR version is that it's 2021 now. Whatever's happened in the past few years, that's already happened, and people have had the chance to make their case. They didn't, that's fine. Right now it's about getting back into the habits of building, and I have the energy, I have the motivation, so let's see where it goes. So I did mention there was going to be a project idea, and now it's time to reveal what this project idea is. I've got a very hastily produced presentation. I'm just going to bring it up now. So this is the presentation. Hang on, I just want to make sure you can see it. Just want to make sure you can see it properly. You see, this is... My goodness, this is embarrassing. There we go. Full screen preview. Alright, so this is my project idea, and let me know in the comments section if you've seen anything like this before. This is what I'm calling the 365 Room Challenge, and I'll go into what this challenge actually is. It's an idea that I thought about just on New Year's Eve actually. So the 365 Room Challenge it's one of these 365-day projects, usually begun on the 1st of January. But the idea behind this project is to build and develop a space into a minifigure scale room for at least one minifigure. So the idea is that you start with a blank slate, and that you build something on top of that space every day for the remainder of the year, with the intention of turning it into a living space or room for a particular minifigure. The idea is that you add something every day to the space until you have a room. And that was my idea for a year-long project essentially. So why did I come up with this challenge, or why did I have the idea for this challenge? Primarily to encourage building, and to encourage building regularly. One of the problems I had during my, I won't call it a dark age, more of a grey age I suppose, but one of the problems I had was that I didn't feel compelled to build anything for various reasons. Perhaps it was a lack of space, perhaps it was a lack of motivation, feeling like whatever I built wouldn't be good enough or wouldn't be considered at all by onlookers or other people in the community. But I wanted to build this project to get into the habit of doing something every day, whether it's just putting a couple of parts together, or learning how to build something amazing and being able to showcase what you've built. I also wanted to do this project because I wanted to encourage people to draw inspiration from others, perhaps other people taking part in this challenge, and you're welcome to do so. Or perhaps looking online to see how other people have tackled specific issues, such as building the shape of a room, building walls, building furniture, etc. So by having a look at how others have tackled the situation, or how other people are tackling the challenge, perhaps you can become inspired and look at ways in which you can approach a situation. And also, one important part of this project is to negate misattribution, which, if you remember, was one of my biggest issues with the LEGO community. This idea that, well, in LEGO's own words, as I found out on the Inside Tour, your ideas may not be your own. And unfortunately, those ideas may be attributed to somebody else. But with having a project like this, and I acknowledge that I may not be the first person to come up with this idea, it doesn't matter so much who is given credit for the idea, who came up with the idea, or whose name is on it, but it's more important that people are actually doing something with the idea by building, by thinking about how they'd approach a situation, by thinking about what kind of room they want to make, how they can make it the best model they can, or just thinking about what they can add to it. It's all about inspiring creativity at the end of the day. It's all about inspiring people to actually do something with their collection of Lego parts. And that's more important to me than the idea of my name being on the project, which isn't necessary at all. So there are a few ground rules for this project that I've set myself, and they are as follows. So starting from day one, which isn't necessarily the 1st of January, sorry. Day one has to be used to define the shape and the size of the room. So everything starts with a foundation, and we're going to use the first day to set some expectations, to decide what kind of shape or size space you're going to work with. The simplest thing would be just to take a base plate, or you could, if you have an idea for the kind of room that you want to build, you can start messing around with plates and things until you have something that you like and something that you think you can work with. The only requirement is that the room has to be a minimum of 16 by 32 studs, so half of a regular base plate, basically. Enough room to build something. But following on with the third rule, after the first day, when you've decided on the shape and size of your room, you can only expand the size of the room. So if you've run out of space to build something, you can always add bits to increase the size of the room. You're not allowed to shrink the size of the room once you've started. The general rule is that every day after day one, you have to add a minimum of 6 parts to the room in order to build it up. The number 6 comes from the number of colors in the SilentMode TV branding. And there's no reason it has to be 6 really, but I decided on 6 because 5 is too cliche, and any more than that, any more than 6, I say, would be a little bit overwhelming. You can remove parts from the room as part of your room updates, but you have to add parts to the model. So for example, let's say you added a floor to the room on one day. You could decide, I don't like the color of that floor, or I don't like the design of that floor, let me take it out. That's perfectly fine. But you have to add some parts. So you still have to add some parts to the room, because the idea is that you're building the room up. It's okay to replace the parts, of course, but you have to add the parts, basically. There's no limit to the number of parts you can remove, but again, you have to add some parts, at least 6 parts per day. Just as a little bit of a challenge, you cannot add the same combination of parts 2 days in a row. So let's say you added a chair to the room. You can't add the exact same chair to the room the next day in order to make up the numbers. And similarly, if you placed, let's say, 6 1x4 plates in the room for whatever reason, you wouldn't be able to add 6 1x4 plates the next day. You could possibly add 6 1x4 plates and then a few other parts, but not the same combination day after day, essentially. I would say that minifigures, whether it's their hair pieces, heads, torsos, or legs, do not count as parts, because This project is about building a minifigure scale room, and so the minifigures would be additional to the room as opposed to part of the room. And probably the most important thing is that for every day that you take part in this challenge, you've got to post your pictures of your space on social media or on your website. And I'm suggesting adding the hashtag 365room when you post on social media or your website. Somebody could probably come up with a much better hashtag or a much better suggestion, but that's the one I decided to come up with. I did do a little bit of research beforehand, and there is a company called 365 Rooms that's over in Belgium, but nothing like this as far as I know. But feel free to make any other suggestions. And that's basically it for the project idea. And all that's left is to show you how I'm going to start this project. And I'm going to post a picture of this on Flickr once I'm done here. I'm just going to start with a regular 32 by 32 base plates. This is going to be my foundation, just keeping it simple. And so I'm going to start thinking about what kind of room do I want to build on this. Which figure am I going to build for? That's another consideration. That's going to affect the style of furniture, probably the decor, the kind of room I end up building in terms of design style. Who knows where it's going to go? But I'm excited about this project, and hopefully you are as well. So feel free to take part if you like. I'll be posting updates every day on probably on Instagram, perhaps TikTok as well. And I'll probably do a digest of updates over a week or so on YouTube and elsewhere. I just want to see where this goes essentially. Let me just have a look at the comments in the chats. Okay, let's see. Well, you know what? I'm used to working in small spaces anyway because I never really had much space to build anything. And so this is also an opportunity to build something potentially larger. So I'm starting with this base plate here. But over time I could decide to expand it to another base plate. It could be as big as I wanted it to be, really. It depends how far I want to take it. And it depends how far you want to take it as well if you decide to take part. Alright, so don't worry, there won't be too long now. Just going to have to clear my throat a second. Excuse me. So apologies for not such an exciting live stream tonight, but I wanted to get this off my chest. I'm going to close the live stream by basically outlining how you can help the channel, because this is the year of the mode and I am looking to do things, but I could use all the help I can get. I've already established that unfortunately there are people who would rather ignore me out of existence and perhaps would prevent people from actually discovering that I exist as well. So I would just ask for all the help I could get in making this year one of the best ever and one of the most productive ever. What's important to know as somebody subscribed to my channel is that I'm not going to ask you guys for money at all. If you remember back from my crowdfunding days when I was crowdfunding for Swapfig, I'm actually averse to asking people for money directly. It's a personal trait of mine that I don't like asking people for money at all. However, I'd like to ask you guys for the ability to make money, because I'm somebody who likes to, actually prefers to, and is probably better suited to earning money from the things that I do. So ways you could help the channel. If you check the description, you may be able to see a link to an Amazon wishlist. I've created a wishlist on Amazon for materials and tools and things that may be useful for the channel going ahead. And these are things that I could use to create things which I could showcase in future videos. They're not just frivolous things that I decided to pick and choose based on how expensive they were. These are things that I would actually use, and Absolutely, you don't have to feel compelled to buy anything from there for me, but if you do, I'll be sure to put it to use in the video, and I'll also give you a shout out, because that kind of thing I would really appreciate. You can also see a link in the description to my my stores on both Brickowl and Bricklink, although I've only put the Brickowl site there. It's a store called Most Plated, and that's where I sell a lot of my unwanted Lego parts. At the moment, they're all new condition. They come directly from sets that I've bought that I wanted to build but never got around to building. I've had quite a lot of sales last year, and that really helped out. It doesn't help the channel directly, but it really helps because I am looking to sell a lot of Lego this year just to make room, and anything I can sell that would go to a good home would be greatly appreciated. What else is in my list? If you don't trust me with money, if you are unable to support financially, or indirectly financially I should say, there are a few basic things you could do that won't cost a penny. So theoretically, if I could choose between having more views, subscribers, or comments on videos, then I'd rather have comments. I like hearing some feedback about what I'm doing, whether it's good or bad. So if you can, feel free to leave a comment in whatever videos you watch on this channel, because I really like reading them. I appreciate getting them, and it helps with morale. Essentially, it helps let me know where I'm going wrong or what I'm doing right, so I can improve the quality of future videos. You could also really help by sharing content. If you like a video that's posted on the channel, feel free to share it with people on social media or elsewhere to let them know that there's this crazy guy from London in the United Kingdom who's actually doing something a little bit different with Lego. One of the problems I've had is that I try to promote my work on various sites, whether I'm engaging with the people there or not. And unfortunately, when I post things there, they're often treated as spam, or there's a lot of gatekeeping there, so I can't really promote myself in front of somebody else's audience. It's a lot easier if somebody else does it for me, but that's one way you can definitely help the channel. But above all else, don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out to me on social media. You can see it on the bottom left of the screen here. I'm currently on Flickr, YouTube of course, Instagram and Twitter, and now I'm on TikTok as well. So check out my profiles on each of those sites, and feel free to reach out and say hello. Let me know what you think of my content. It's all appreciated. But that's pretty much it. And yes, of course, feel free to like and dislike my videos if you see fit. If you like the content, then obviously give a like. If you don't like the content, you can leave a dislike if you like it. I notice it, but it's not really that serious. But yeah, just let me know what you think of the content, really. And yes, as far as these live streams go, I should say, I'm probably looking to do one at least once a month, perhaps at the start of the month, just to let you guys know what's going on, and hopefully to introduce some new exciting concepts that I'll be working on. Clearly I need a lot of practice with these live streams, because this one I can tell is incredibly boring. But yes, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say, really. I will not take up any more of your time. Thanks for playing along if you're listening live or on the replay, and I will see you around this time next month. This is Drew,